Yo, what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's STORMYBMAN, and I am back. Welcome to the post-fight show with STORMYBMAN, and we got my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens here as well, and we're going to talk about the fights that took place today for this Saturday, September 12th, 2020, and we are here to do it. And we're going to get right into it. What's going on with you, Reggie? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing, OG?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. It's funny. It's like just when you think that you know what's going to happen, you know, boxing is truly the theater of the unexpected, man. When they labeled boxing that, they could never be more correct, man. What a day, huh? What a day.
Great day, great day.
Yeah, so, you know, before we get started, I wanted to take a moment out. I guess you could call it public service announcement or whatever, because earlier when I did a stream, I did one of my Kung Fu film focuses earlier today, and before the show ended, I did not see that I had a PayPal donation, a generous PayPal donation from African Sci-Fi Scholar. So I wanted to say shout out to African Sci-Fi Scholar for the PayPal. You know, I don't get the chime message up there yet because I don't have the, what do you call it, the, you know, the super chat. So he hit the donation, but it didn't give me an alert or anything. So I wanted to acknowledge that. And then I also wanted to acknowledge a couple of new subs who subbed to the channel earlier. There was Urban Shaolin T-shirts, Derek the Great, and Boxing Freak, and Galvatron. They all subbed today, and I just wanted to acknowledge them. And also ABN. So salute to everybody that subbed to the channel today, and I know that some people came by way of recommendation from I know this week I had recommendations that came from Fanon International Boxing and KQKC, so I wanted to acknowledge the brothers out there for having the graciousness to send people my way for the channel to check out our content here. So I just wanted to get that out there before we got going. So, yeah, man, a day of boxing, and, you know, I didn't watch the entire card, Reggie, but if you like, I know the KAVALIAUSKAS fight was the last fight, and sometimes we go right into what was recent, but why don't we just go ahead and get Anthony Yarde out the way? How do you feel about that?
Man, I'm still trying to figure out where the hell they taking his career to, man? And what is he doing with himself? Even with him getting the win, he still didn't do shit in this fight. It was almost like the opponent allowed Yarde to try to work on some things, and even in allowing Word to work on some things, he really didn't work on shit. This jab was horrible. He just flicks out the jab, throw out the jab. Any other one of these serious opponents ain't gonna respect Yard's jab. He's going in this Mayweather shoulder roll thing, and the way that he holds it, and the way that he places that lead hand, you don't even have to worry about his jab. You can step right to him, move to the side to take away the power, because all he wants to do is get that left hand in there, step in the direction to where that left hand is nullified, and get the mixing this guy up. He didn't really display anything. It was nothing in those first 2 rounds. He barely landed. All he landed in the first round, I gave it to the other guy, the opponent, Spellman. Round 2, I only had Yard landing in 1 significant punch, and that was 1 left hook. Outside that, they just stood in front of each other, looked at each other, tried to throw off jabs. Yard trying to look cool for the cameras, I guess, in that shoulder roll stance. Round number 3, I had what's his name filling out the opponent once again. He goes into round 3 still as a fill out round, not really throwing off too much, still squaring up like it's the first round, like the fight just started, looking at this opponent, the opponent looking at him. Round 4, pity patting the jab. He was landing that left hook a little bit. He was trying to sit on the ropes, trying to roll and pull and counter with shots. Once again, just experimenting, trying to see how things look. But once again, it was an opponent who did not step forward towards him to try to bring anything. And then, what I put in there? The opponent just landed 1 damn shot, and that was about it. Then Yard started landing to the body in round 4. In round 5, and then in round 6 is where he gets the knockdown. The knockdown comes. He rocked the dude a little bit. The dude sat down there, took the 8 count. He got up looking ready to return, and I don't know why the hell the referee stopped this damn fight. I have no reason. I have no idea why the referee stopped that fight. Is the opponent looked like he could go on? He didn't look to be that damn bad when he got up to his feet. He didn't stumble or anything. He stood right in front of the ref, waiting for the ref to get to the count of 8 to continue on with the fight. The ref said no. So I don't know if they protecting Yard to make him look good by continuing on this back on the crusade of stopping guys, but guys who he shouldn't be down there fighting against. Not this level of opposition if he's looking to get in there with champions. But I can't wait if he's fighting this level of people who aren't doing anything to improve him, and he decides to step back up there towards the top, he getting his ass ripped out the frame. And that's all I had, man. I wasn't impressed with it, but good to see him get a win, but it was a cheap win.
Yeah, I'll come back with what I got on it in just a moment. I just kind of want to get through some names that have joined us this evening already. Lala D was out there. She says, Stormy, I'll be back. Eli Zachary says, salute. Tone Brown is out there, says, salute to STORMYBMAN. And he's saluting Lala D. Martha Machine is saying salute to myself in the chat. Mike 202 is out there. He says salute STORMYBMAN and Reggie Owens. Love Thyself is out here. He's saying salute to the panel and chat. Salute to you, Love Thyself. I saw you over there at KQ and you said you were going to stop by, so it's good to see you. G Funky Boxing is out there. He says, what up, STORMYBMAN? Hispanic causing panic in the house. And he's saying, what's good to Reggie? And Love Thyself say, they do a lot of that in the UK. Yeah, that's kind of like what I was going to get into as well. And then we got Reggie out there saluting everybody as well. Yeah, the Yard fight, he took on this character that they brought in for him called Dex Spellman. And Spellman is spelled with 1 L, by the way, which makes him even more weird. Anyway, I actually gave Mr. Spellman the first round, who came in with an interesting pattern of tattoos on his body, to say the least. And then I noticed on his left shoulder, he had a tattoo of Bruce Lee. So, you know, me being the kung fu man that I am, I'm like, okay, this character has a tattoo of Bruce Lee on his shoulder, so he can't possibly come out here just to lay down, right? So we get into the fight. I gave Mr. Spellman the first round. And it was interesting because Yard came out there with that shoulder roll posture and everything, taking shots from the guy. And I'm like, wait, this guy's touching him up in the first round. So I gave Mr. Spellman the first round. In the second round, it was close, but I gave it to Yard. Now, what I saw here was it became evident by round 3 that Spellman didn't have enough pop on his punches to hurt Yard. And so Yard then found himself to be the heavier hitter between the two. So by rounds 4 and 5, he started to throw punches more, but he wasn't sharp with them. He wasn't landing. So I ended up giving the 4th round to Mr. Spellman again. In the 5th round, Yard began to throw some body punches and began to pursue him with some type of aggression. But I was still concerned about this posture that he was taking and how this guy was able to touch him. As you said, Reggie, if it were a more experienced fighter or one of the top tier type fighters that's not necessarily the champion or a champion, he's going to find himself in some trouble because he's easy to hit. He's another one of those guys, a lot like AB, who tries to take that shoulder roll posture and don't know how to do it correctly, and he gets hit. I mean, this guy was touching him, but he couldn't hurt him because it's obvious, you know, after the first round, when you can gauge someone's strength or whatever, you can tell, you know, if they really got pop on their punches or if that's just, you know, them being fresh and they could come out there. You might sting or whatever, but you know the difference in power. You can gauge it. And that's what made me feel that Yard, in the round that he stocked them in the 6th round, he felt comfortable enough to go after the guy and hit him, you know, and not worry about what's coming back. But the knockdown was quite interesting because when he went down, Spellman took the count. He got up inside the count, at least by the count of 6 or 7. It wasn't like 8 or 9. And when he stood up, you know, he hopped on his toes and the ref looked at him and waved the fight off. I mean, it was like, and he was looking at the ref like, what are you doing? And the ref didn't say, walk this way or whatever, or give me your gloves, you know, you okay? He just waited till the guy stood up inside the count, and then he waved the fight off. I mean, if he was going to do that, he could have just waved the fight off when the guy went down to his knees. I felt like that was a situation where it really looked fishy to me, and I'm not trying to say conspiracy type fishy, but they wanted Yard to look good for the fight, so that was a time that they could stop it, you know, and that's exactly what they did. At least that's what it appeared to me. And when they went to announce the victory and everything, the referee was holding a conversation with Yard and smiling like they were buddies or something. I picked up on all of that, man, and you know, I kind of mentioned that to you when it took place, but it's like I am so sick of the sport of boxing having questionable after questionable moments when things can clearly be defined if you just let it go to its conclusion. If Yard was going to knock the guy out, let him knock the guy out. Why are you trying to make it look better? And then in another sense, you get referees like this other guy in the Tyson Fury Wilder fight where Fury, when he was laid out and he looked like he was unconscious, and the referee bent over yelling in his ear a count, woke him up, gave him heart massage and gave him the clear of the shock treatment and everything to bring him back and let him finish the fight. And then here you got a guy that got up inside the count and you stopped the fight. There's too much of this going on, man. It's just too much going on, and I didn't like it. And Yard is going to continue to milk things over there, but as soon as he fights an international fighter, someone from the West or something like that, he's going to kiss the canvas again. He is not seasoned. He's not a guy who seems to offer much. This was not even like a sparring session, But the man that he was in there with, even though they called themselves selecting someone of low stature or class, a safe touch, so to speak, the guy was still in there, and he was like not ready to finish. You know, he wasn't done, but they stopped it on him. I mean, it was clear as day. Did you see what I'm talking about, Reggie, when you watched it for yourself about that stoppage?
Wait, say that last part one more time.
Did you see what I was talking about yourself when you watched it about the stoppage?
Yeah, the stoppage was trashed. I didn't like it. The guy was on his feet. He was squared up in front of the ref to return. When the ref hit that 8 count, looked at the guy as if he's going to tell him to come forward. He just stopped it. And I'm looking like the guy didn't give any sign like he was wobbled. He didn't fall over. He didn't do any of that.
Yeah, because he basically he went to his knee. You know, he went to his knees. He took a count because, you know, he was shook, and he did what he's supposed to do. Got his bearings. Got up. They just wave it off. I'm like, come on, man. That kind of stuff, it has to stop. It really does. The reason that I make a fuss about this in particular is you see indiscriminate actions in those moments. One moment a ref is stopping it, another moment a ref is letting something go. It's the same with the cuts. One moment they're stopping a fight on a cut, the next moment they let the guy bleed a pint of blood in the ring. We can't continue to have this, man. It's something that really should be addressed, and I think the viewing audiences should use the platforms like what we have to voice it, man, because we could see it. It's as ready as rain. It's like you could see this, that the rules that are in place are just there to say they have something in place, but it's indiscriminate how they do things. They just do it at will, and it depends on who your name is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt about that. They pick and choose the winners, man. They pick and choose who they want career to go forward, and who to stop. And it's BS what I see with Yard. Man, I never expected him to watch him back his career up that much. If you didn't got in there with one of the biggest names at the division, championship opportunity, then you go down, then you come back from that and you doing what's worse than even cherry picking. This shit he's doing is worse than cherry picking. Like I said, in the fight before this one, he fought that dude with over 45. I think the guy got 45 losses. The guy was a welterweight that they made move up to fight Anthony Yard, and they try to hide that fight. It was a fight they were going to hide away from everybody. Matter of fact, the fight was leaked, and that's how bad this shit was. Then Frank Warren comes in with this crap, and he gets him in against an opponent who couldn't do nothing with Anthony Yard. So now Anthony Yard feels safe, didn't have to worry about anything, and he didn't really do anything. He didn't really have to do anything in this fight. He really didn't impress in this fight. Even with getting the knockdown, it wasn't that impressive of a win because he didn't really do too much. He just really sat there. Both of the opponents sat there and kind of marveled over what the hell they was doing. It's just bad seeing Anthony Yard come from, you know, he gets close to top level success, and then now he stepped all the way to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean into one of them deep ass trenches and shit. But he's setting himself back. He's doing the injustice for himself because if he gets in there with the Bivol, Better Bievs, even the Badu Jacks, the Marcus Browns, they're gonna spank him, man. He'll be lucky to get through any of those dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tired of seeing that type of foolishness. We got in the chat, Love Thyself says they do a lot of that in the UK. Marcus the Villain has joined us. He says, salute. Tone Brown is out there, says Anthony Yard is overrated. D-Style Boxing is in the house. He's peeping through. And the odd fella says, greetings from the north side. Love Thyself says, was the fight at light heavy? Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be, at light heavy. And the odd fella sounds like a typical UK stoppage. Absolutely. And he says Yard will try to duck Buatsi, and he won't have to leave the island to get his ass kicked. Listen, man, I don't like when they get that funny stuff going on, but we could basically just move on from him because I know there were some other guys on the undercard, but I didn't even tune in to that because I was busy doing a earlier stream. but I did finish up what I was doing just in time to catch the yard match. But yeah, let's move on into the ESPN card for the evening, Reggie. They had a series of 6 and 8 round fights that took place before the co-main event. Now, the co-main event featured Mariaga and Gonzalez. Joet Gonzalez against Miguel Mariaga. And the main event was Egidijus KAVALIAUSKAS against this guy. What's his name, Reggie?
I just call him Ski.
ZEWSKI. Yeah. I did write his name down. Mikhail ZEWSKI. They say he's from Canada or something like that, so the odd fella might know who he is. But
yeah, from Quebec.
Quebec, yeah. You know, with the undercard fights, did you get a chance to see any of them, or did you just wait for the co-main event?
I watched the one where the dude was in there with his mama.
Yeah.
He got to be up in front of his mom. I watched that one, and I catch some of the one with the kid from Puerto Rico, a little bit of that one, and there was another one where they had the knockdowns. And I like what the commissioner did in that one fight where he took the knockout away. He took the knockdown away. I liked what the commissioner did on that.
I didn't like that, and I'll tell you why. How many times have you seen them do that?
But I hope it's something they start doing, though. I hope so. That they review when a ref doesn't see something. That they go back and they start watching replays.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it because you know why? Because if we go back to the Jamel Herring fight, right? That fight right there, where he stopped with the cut, right? But the cut, the referee said it was intentional because the guy was coming in intentionally with his head. When the fight got really rough and Herring couldn't handle it, he wanted out. But where were those people to step in and stop the fight because the guy was using his head? See, that's what I'm talking about, the inconsistencies here, because you don't have to put Herring in a bad position. You can disqualify the guy. Then they'll stop doing that kind of stuff. When somebody steps in and the referee says, time, I'm taking 2 points for intentional headbutting again. One more and you out. They didn't do that. They put Herring in a position in which we were very critical that he quit, which I feel still he did, but it didn't have to go down that way if you want to exercise the options of having an imposition on the fight. You see, that's where it comes in. That person came a couple of rounds later and said, oh, that knockdown in the first round, that's not a real knockdown. He hit him with his head. Okay, so you looked at a replay. But what about all the damn replays of the guys using their heads all the damn time, causing cuts and stuff, guys who've never been cut before in fights? When you start getting cut around your eyes, that's the beginning of some bad things, especially when you go have a future in the boxing where you're facing guys with good jabs and sharp punches. They'll open those cuts up right away. So you're talking about having an impact on someone's career with using heads intentionally in close proximity, and you're not penalizing the person who's doing it that you said was doing it on purpose. It was intentional. So why you don't take over? Yeah, Tony Weeks said in the Herring fight, this guy was headbutting intentionally, and so, he called it out. But why didn't Tony Weeks say something during the rest of the fight? He's standing right there closer than anybody else. And the guy, upon replay and reflect, you go back and review, this guy's hitting with his head the whole time. So, come on. All I'm asking for is consistency. If you can't do that, get the hell out of here with your funky little rules. As far as I'm concerned, he hit him with his head, he hit him with his fist, and the dude went down. Why are you going to come back a couple of rounds later and change it? See, that kind of stuff, that's, to me, that's negative impact, because you're not being forthcoming and you're not being consistent. You know, that whole thing about what happened with Herring in the week before, and how many other fights have we seen with guys using their heads? I'm just saying, you got to be able to point those things out and have people be held accountable. I would like to know who was that guy that came out and said to the ref that that's not going to be a knockdown. Said to the judges, take that off the books. It's not a knockdown. Some dude came up, whoever that dude was. He had a mask on. We don't know who he was. And they didn't put the camera directly on him. But when you could see he was standing outside the ring telling them, I'm like, who the hell is that? And how's he making, making Don moves out there, telling people what to do? Where was he at a week ago? That's what I have to say about it, Reggie. I'm not asking anybody to agree with me. I'm just saying that I'm looking at things from a general standpoint, and it's not just about who you might like in the fight, because once it becomes personal like that, of course, everybody's going to want something done properly. But I'm looking at it for the entire sport. I'm like, hey, where's the damn consistency at? That's all.
No, move. It was done by the Nevada State Athletic Commissioner, and I like that he took those points off the board, because a knockdown like that shouldn't count. I don't think a fighter should unjustly be pulled behind in a fight when it's not a knockdown. There was another knockdown where his foot got stepped on and he got released and he fell from that. But I wish they would have reviewed that. And it shows that this commissioner is needing to pay closer attention to these fights, because there's judges who aren't doing their job and watching these fights, as well as some of these referees who aren't seeing things because they may be out of position. So I think it's a good thing. I like it, but I would like for it to be more consistent as well when they do it. But I think things like that shouldn't put a fighter behind, but especially if it's something that's clearly not a knockdown, it should be something viewed, but not something if it's questionable and it's considered a knockdown, they shouldn't reverse that. But if it's something clear that a referee may have been out of positions that they caught on camera, then yeah, I'll go for that. But we have technology that's in this game, and it needs to be utilized, especially if it can set things in a fight.
Absolutely. So we can definitely agree on the consistency aspect. Love Thyself in the chat says, actually ESPN has been doing a lot of that since boxing's been back. Commissioner has been checking the replay. Okay, if they're going to remain consistent, we'll look forward to how that happens. D. Hodges is out there saluting G-Funk. ENG says, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Reviewing the tape is good. Eli Zachary is out. He says, salute. And Nitty G is saluting. He says, hashtag LDBC Chicago. Salute to you, Nitty G. And ENG says, it's pretty new. Give it time. Okay. Marlon So Icy Sims is out there. It says, what's up, Stormy B? What's good with you, Marlon? Good to see you out there, man. And Love Thyself says, last week, I think they took back a knockdown. Okay. So we do have to give it time if this is what they're doing. But I'm just noticing, because we have seen inconsistency, and that's all it is that I point that out. I'm not trying to go on a huge tirade about it, but it's like, man, consistency will help us out a great deal. But yeah, Reggie, regarding that fight with the young man that his mom was out there, and he got knocked out while they were interviewing the mom ringside. They was interviewing him, and he got knocked out while his mom was being interviewed. That Jonathan Rodriguez kid. That was a. Personally, I think that was a good stoppage, because he had gotten hurt earlier, and then that guy hit him with a 2-piece and kind of stood him up straight. Did you see that? And then he went to deliver another blow, and they got him. But it's like his mom was out there, and he doing the interview, and he got beat. No, that wasn't him. That was that was a
Puerto Rican dude you talking about.
Yeah, Ramos. I'm sorry, but Jonathan got knocked out too. Gonzalez, he got knocked out in the 5th round. That kid was fighting Manuel Flores. They were bantamweights, and he was doing very good at first, but then he kind of messed up. He misjudged his distances, and then that's when he got caught. But the fight where the guy got knocked out while his mom was being interviewed, forgive me, that was Jorge Ramos. He was taking on Aleem Jumakanov or something like that. I can't pronounce his last name. I tried to write it down so I could, but it's kind of hard to say his name. But yeah, between rounds, they went to the corner to talk to the mom. When the bell rang for the 3rd round, he goes out and they interviewing mom, and they saying, "What? How do you think he's doing?" "Oh, he's doing good. He had that loss, but he's coming back, and we told him what to do." Blah blah blah. And then boom, he goes. She looked like she wanted to cry, man. It was horrible. How you gonna have the camera right on mom's when her son get knocked out? She was working the corner and everything. That was. What was your thoughts on that, Reggie? I'm laughing now. I didn't laugh when it happened, but I'm laughing because we're reporting it now. But it was something, man. That wasn't cool at all.
Man, when I seen the fight, man, the 1st round started, man, I was bothered by this tall dude trying to fight on the inside against this dude. So I was bugged out by that. But when the 1st round ended, I heard him say something. I thought they said his sister, like he does something with the sister and shit. But when they showed on the corner was the mom, I said, what the hell? This fool got his mom working as a damn coach. But so I was like, man, let me not be sexist, because I said it's no different if it was a father, she loved her child. Let me leave it at that. But then when the fight goes on, like you said, ESPN had the camera, wanted to interview it, trying to make it a sweet moment. He get his ass stopped, and a tear almost wanted to come out her damn eye, man.
I know.
Fact, I think he looked over at his mom to see if he should get up or not, and I was like, this shit is embarrassing as hell, man. But the dude was like, man, don't you ever bring your mama to this shit. Man. I was laughing more about that shit, just looking at it from that kind of a standpoint. Motherfucker in here with his mama and shit.
And you know it's gonna be some people that's gonna rag him about that, don't you? In his personal life. That right there, man. One of life's most embarrassing moments right there. It's like, dude, they had the camera right on her as he went down or whatever, and she looked over and she, looking at the camera. Then she tried to flash the peace sign and all of that. Nah. There's always something, man. Don't bring your mama to the fight like that. You got to be a world champ that done been through a whole lot of stuff, and maybe your mom come see one fight or something. But no, you can't be a prospect trying to fight. And somebody in chat mentioned that he was tall and stiff. Yeah, the dude was like, trying to fight on the inside without a jab, and the other guy, Aleem, he was like letting loose on him. He was like firing off double punches and stuff. And this guy was like trying to lean forward and stuff. He took him, man. He dropped some combinations on that kid. But it was real funny because I heard KQKC say he's stiff than a motherfucker. And I was rolling. It just sounded funny as hell coming from KQKC when he said that. I was rolling, man. But yeah, the kid, he got knocked out, man. And that's that. But Ali said, "Oh, they got the cameras on his mama. look at me, mama. Knock your boy the fuck out." Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just hilarious just thinking about it. It really is. It's one of them times that you could just say, you know what, that's crazy. Love Thyself in the chat says he got hit with that right hook on top of the head, went down and stayed there. Uh, and our fellas laughing. And Mr. James says, great work. Love Thyself also said, Rodriguez is Puerto Rican. The tall kid was giving up his height while his mom was there. And he says, I knew he was getting stopped. He was too slow, too stiff. ENG says, that KO seemed a little weird to me. Looked almost like he took a dive. Well, he got hit a few times, ENG, and you could tell that it wasn't his type of party. It was like, you know, when he tried to fight on the inside, but the guy had more power than him. So he didn't want to continue. So, yeah, I don't think he took a dive, but he looked for a way out, you know. Because even when he was on his knee and the referee was counting, he looked over to the corner and nodded to his mom like, what's up, Mom? I ain't getting up. So that's what that was. You know, our fella says, interview mama while he's on the knee. Laugh out loud. And Philip Carl Roberts says, she was crying when they got to her. That's her son. You know it's going to get bad when your mom turns up. Mr. James says, he will always be remembered. Well, he said, Mr. James, that's a memorial. Philip Carl Roberts says, please don't hit my boy. The last appeal. Laugh out loud.
Not my baby.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Let's move on to the next one, man. Let's go on into what's his name? Miguel Mariaga and Joet Gonzalez. What were your overall thoughts of this fight, Reggie? And then let's kind of break it down, because there was something that I saw in this fight that I really, really didn't like. But I want to let you go ahead and give your take on it first.
Man, hey, I was impressed by
Joet,
because I really didn't like him from what was behind him and Shakur Stevenson.
Right.
And kind of more of them having their hatreds of Shakur, him being a black guy and his sister being in love with Shakur. So I don't like that motherfucker Joet. But looking at this fight, I wanted Mariaga to go in here and bring it to Joet. To hopefully he was going to beat the crap out of Joet. And it just didn't happen. Joet came in this fight and he impressed the hell out of me. The guy's defense mixed in with offense was brilliant. The way he utilized that high guard defense better than I've seen it using it to deflect punches off the arm, catching shots, deflecting shots, pushing them out to. He fought brilliantly, and it's also a testament to how brilliant fucking Shakur Stevenson is. And he really started to break Mariaga, because early in the round, in the first two rounds, Mariaga was coming forward on him, landing in good shots, mixing them up, and third round, Joet turned it up and didn't lose a round after that. And he fought a brilliant fight. I liked everything I seen. The jab was crisp. It was very fast. I liked the way that he wore through shit when he got the cuts up on him. It was almost as if those cuts did not exist. He did not seem bothered by them. It did not stop him from the ultimate goal, and that was to go in there and get the victory in this fight. And he pressed the action. It wasn't like he tried to play it safe, try to stay on the outside. He knew when the right moments to come on the inside, when to target the body, and he caused this dude, Mariaga, to kind of back up and retreat the whole fight. He cut the ring off perfectly. He was almost like he was herding the sheep. He was like a shepherd in that motherfucker. Mariaga tried to circle around to his left. Joet knew how to cut him off, send him back into the direction he wanted to move in, and just got to mixing him. He fought a good fight in this fight to me, and I gave it 8 rounds to 2. He dominated.
Yeah, absolutely. I had that exact same score, 8 rounds to 2 for Joet. Joet put on a good fight tonight. I did think that he had a little bit of letdown. It was kind of like around round 7 or 8. You know, you could see he looked like he was fading. Then he picked it back up. But the 2 rounds that I gave to Mariaga, believe it or not, were the the second round and the 10th round, the last round. And I thought that I gave him the 10th round and 10th and final round because of how he was moving. He threw his shots and he moved away and moved away. But I was in grave concern for Marriaga because there was something happening with him that I didn't like that I saw. I felt like he showed signs of being a shot fighter. And what I recognized in this, it was like around 5 or 6 that I thought that maybe his corner should start thinking about stopping the fight because of how he was getting hit clean with the same shot over and over again. And then there was this little stutter step he would do with his feet. And also when he got hit with a shot clean, even if it was a grazing shot, his reaction was like freezing, like you take a picture. Those are heavy indications of something happening. The brain synapses are not firing like they're supposed to. And if he were in there with a more murderous, pressuring fighter, Marriaga, who's from Colombia, I think he would have been in real severe trouble. They should really consider not putting him back in there. These are the kind of fighters that you see, they fight a good, tough fight, and then later they're in the hospital and they go into a coma or something because they just took one too many shots to the head. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful in my assessment, but if you watch that fight again, you look at his reaction to the shots, you could see it. And I'm wondering, like, he's got cornermen there. They can't see this. And I understand that whole thing about machismo. You want your guy to be able to go out on his shield. But I'm very compassionate when it comes to considering fighters having families. You got a family to return to. You want to be able to go back and hug and kiss your wife and kids and things like that. You don't want them to be hugging and kissing on you in a hospital bed where you on a ventilator. You know what I'm saying? And there's just things that you naturally notice when a fighter doesn't respond to punches very well. And we both know that Joet is not this huge knockout puncher, right? But he was punching sharp and crisp. And sometimes those are even worse because it's a clean shot. You know, something that's more thudding and damaging a guy could go down from or something like that. So maybe that little lull between the rounds, in the middle of the rounds that I said that Joet had, maybe he was trying to get his second win or whatever to finish and go the distance. It helped Marriaga to finish the fight. But if he had been able to push through with pressure and letting those hands go, he could have stopped this guy. But I don't want to see him fight anymore, you know, personally. And I'm sure they're going to put him in there again. But keep your eye out for Marriaga because there's something to be said about a fighter who's taking shots like that and people not looking out for his personal welfare. So, you know, that's what I noticed as I was checking the fight out.
Yeah, I thought the fight was going to get stopped quite a few times, like in the 8th round. I think about 7th or 8th round, I thought they were going to stop it. And when I turned it up, it looked like the corner was concerned, like they needed more out of him. And I remember, matter of fact, it was the 8th round because I remember the corner saying, you need a knockout. Like, you're so far behind. It was like, he was like, I think you only won about 2 rounds is what the coach said. He says, you're not doing much. You're getting hit with almost every shot that's out there. And I was clearly thinking they was going to either throw a towel in or stop the fight. The other thing that bugs me is that this was for a goddamn title shot. And even if it's whatever kind of belt it was, I'm like, what the hell's going on with this shit?
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. You could stop a fight like that in the corner. When your guy comes back, it's easy to say, hey, he threw his shoulder out, he broke his hand, sprained an ankle, something like that. You, as a cornerman, you can bail your guy out. You don't have to let your guy take a beating and go down. You could save him. Just like when Sonny Liston lost to Muhammad Ali. They said he separated his shoulder or whatever. Sonny Liston just quit because Ali was too much for him. And he couldn't get anything going even after they tried to cheat Ali still prevailed. So it's like they just stopped it in the corner, and Sonny Liston, you know, left out of there. There wasn't never anything wrong with his damn shoulder. He probably slapped a couple of people in the back room on his way out of the arena. You know, it's like no problem with the same arm. So cornermen have to be aware. And again, there's a reason that you called a chief second. It's not in there to just get the second end of the damn paycheck. You know, you have to look out for the fighter's interests in there. And I'm telling you, these guys of today, man, if I'm looking at it and I'm on TV hundreds of miles away, somebody there in the corner should have been able to see it just a few feet away. I mean, come on. You know, I want to go back to the chat real quick. Love Thyself says, funny, I was thinking the same thing about Joet. Was very interested to see how he did because he looked bad in the Shakur fight. Yeah, Shakur was just a bad style matchup for him because Shakur was more athletic and had better footwork. He says, round 2, Mariaga put Joet on the back foot. The odd fella says, Mariaga is officially looking like a gatekeeping journeyman. Absolutely. Love Thyself says, Mariaga is a kind of a brawler. Harder to tell when those guys are shot. He takes a lot of punches, which is the usual for him. No, it's not harder to tell, Love Thyself, if you know what you're looking at. That's even more of a reason to pay attention when guys who take shots. See, that's the thing. He'll get in there with a feather-fisted guy and get knocked into a coma. I'm telling you, this is how it happens. Derek Bailey's out there. He says, salute Stormy B-Man. The odd fella is saluting Derek Bailey. And a lot, this is the thing about a shot fighter. There are different ways to tell. You could tell with their legs. Their legs go a lot of times before anything else. The other thing that can go is the reflective reaction that it would take to put your hands up to cover yourself. Okay? Guys are standing there. I told you, it's like they taking a picture. They freeze. And just that time that your brain is supposed to tell you, pick your hands up, they don't have that muscle memory anymore. It's like, because it's neurological. Okay? When a guy is getting ready and getting set to do something, he can't do it, and the other guys on top of him having gained a greater advantage because of the loss of those synapses. The other thing is to tell when a guy is getting hit clean with the same shots over and over and over again. Okay? If it's a devastating puncher, it ain't going to be over and over again. It's going to be 1 or 2 and it's over. Right? But in the case of Joet, who's not a huge puncher, he was punching sharp enough, fast enough that he could hit this kid, and the kid could not. And I call him a kid because I'm older than him, but he's getting hit clean. And then he does this little stutter step with his feet, where it's almost like a stumble, but not like a drunken stumble. It's like when they put their foot down, they can't feel the canvas under their feet. It's neurological. Okay? It's like a diabetic that loses feeling in their hands or feet. They can't feel something, they drop it. Or they can't feel something with their feet and they'll stumble. Okay? That's your nerves. And this is why I say you have to know what you're looking at. It's one thing to be out there yelling in the guy's ear, go get him, be a warrior, this and that. But there's another thing that you have to have, the temperament of when enough is enough. You want to save the guy a punch too soon than a punch too late. Seriously. And that's just not hip speak. That's honest assessment of what you're looking at. So that guy, he's from Colombia. He probably needs his money and this and that. But if he's going to continue to fight, they may want to put him in against guys that he should be beating. But he really shouldn't be fighting too much anymore because I could see it, man. And there's been numerous fighters through history who have taken punishment like that and ended up in a bad way. And I don't want to see that for anyone, no matter how much I love the sport. I don't love the sport that much to see people not be able to have a quality of life with their families. So that's all I got to say on that. Reggie, if you have anything more to say on this particular fight, we can move it on to the main event. But that's what I had to offer on that regarding that fight.
Yeah, that's all I have on that one. I agree with everything you're saying about Marriaga as well.
Yeah. So now we move on to the main event with Egidius KAVALIAUSKAS taking on Mikhail ZEWSKI. And this fight right here, Reggie, I was amazed when the bell rang for the first round how much bigger ZEWSKI was than KAVALIAUSKAS. What did he rehydrate up to, like a couple of weight classes above? He was a big guy, man.
Yeah, he was big as shit.
Yeah, he was really big. And in the first round, you could see that KAVALIAUSKAS was doing some good stuff with his jab. He was throwing a very nice hook to the body that he didn't throw enough. I'm like, man, what are you waiting for? That's the punch that's going to do it for you. But he has a very good left hook to the body. At least in this fight, he was showing it. And this guy, ZEWSKI, as I was listening to you call it, you know, he was admiring all of his own work, man. He couldn't even let his hands go to bring him back home. He was like leaving them out there lingering and stuff. And you said it before it happened. He was like, this dude gonna get caught with something because he was punching and holding his hands up and punches and dropping his hands. And so as the fight went on, you know, I gave him what? I gave ZEWSKI 2 rounds. And when he got knocked out, man, that was a devastating uppercut that KAVALIAUSKAS hit him with. Man, it was perfect. What were your thoughts on the fight?
Man, salute to Mean Machine, man. Is he came out here, and salute to his jab, man. I didn't think he can jab like that, and especially being in here against this big ass fighter. I thought this dude was gonna knock Mean Machine out, just based on how big he was, the way he was loading up on them punches. But when I kept seeing him admiring shots he'll throw out there, leave him out there, look at him. Every time he threw that right hand over the top, he pulls and rolls that shit back as if it was the best shit he done thrown, and it probably didn't even hit shit. And I'm like, man, what the hell is this fool doing? And that was in the first round. And then after that, I had KAVALIAUSKAS going on a 4-round streak on his ass. And then in the 6th round is when the 6th round I ended up giving to what's the name, Zelensky, or I'll call him Ski, where he started going back to jabbing more. He started throwing that jab out a little bit more, got some right hands in there. At this moment, he didn't roll the right hand to look at it as he pulled it back. He looked good in that round. And I think, I don't know if Mean Machine took the round off a little bit to kind of gather himself, but he worked, his jab was just effective, was really effective. And I think the thing was with the father of Ski is he seen that swelling on because when I turned the volume up during the middle of the rounds, he seen the swelling on Mean Machine's eye, and they wanted to target that. So I think that's what got Ski busy in that round. And he started to be effective, started to be a little bit more aggressive, started to kind of go with the attack. But then towards the end of that round, it started to shift, and Mean Machine almost took the round for my liking. But I was like, I don't know if out of sympathy, I ended up giving this dude a round when it could have went to Mean Machine as well. Then right after that is when shit got bad, and that's when Mean Machine rocked his ass, put him on the ground, hit him with a very solid shot, made the dude think about it. And I think the dude took that 9 count or some shit, and he ends up getting to his feet right before the round can end, and he was hurt pretty bad, and it showed, and it was almost like, damn, how is Mean Machine gonna come out here in this 8th round? Is Mean Machine gonna get right on top of him as soon as that round started? Mean Machine jumped right out there on his ass, got that right hook behind that glove, twisted that dude's whole neck and dropped him. But it was a great display by Mean Machine. Just a poor performance from this dude who, and it's the problem with people marvel over their work. He's sitting there marveling over his work, taking his time, trying to be too patient when he needs to step on the gas. But a great win for Mean Machine.
Man, Mean Machine.
No belt was on the line for this shit, right?
No. Mean Machine was on him so fast, it was like a fly on a fresh cut watermelon on a hot summer day at a picnic, man. It was like he was on him. When that bell rang, he darted across the ring. He was on that dude. That's how you're supposed to do it. Don't even give him a chance to think that he okay. Make him remember what he just sat down on 60 seconds ago. And he did it. He closed the show very well. I want to go to the chat real quick. Philip Carl Roberts says about the previous fight. He said it was a decent fight, although one-sided. They both gave it all, talking about Joette and Mariaga. Good body, God body, Sean News says, salute at Stormy B-Man. The Odd Fella says, disclaimer, ain't nobody knew ZEWSKI in Canada except his trainers. And Thrill Hill says, I like to see Green Machine in boots. The Odd Fella says, ZEWSKI was long with short arms though. And Derek Bailey says, especially the right hand, Stormy. And Odd Fella says, salute to Green Bean Stylist. The double zipper hoodie was fresh. And in other words, he ain't got nothing to say about Green Bean's performance. He says, Love Thyself says, Mean Machine went to the body well too. Took the steam off of ZEWSKI's punches. Yeah, that's what I was saying about that left hook to the body, to the liver. He was really delivering that shot on point. And every time he hit ZEWSKI with that, ZEWSKI dropped his hands and stepped back. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to move in and go after this guy like that. So, yeah, I wanted to see more of that left hook to the body. There are not enough guys out here in the sport today that are doing that good body work. One of the people that comes to mind right away is Earl Spence Jr. He does great body work, but there are some fighters that could be so much better if they just put that body work in. The knockouts will come easier as well because there's just not enough guys putting that work in. Marta Machine says there was a belt on the line. Oh, it was? I missed that part. I didn't even hear that they had a belt. Eli Zachary says it's way too many belts. I agree. And Philip Carl Roberts says Mean Machine did good. He also took a few shots on the way in the early rounds. Imposed himself. Yeah, his jab was very strong. He had a very good jab. It was on the money. They were even remarking in one of those rounds where he moved his head and hit ZEWSKI with a jab through the middle of his guard, you know, when he was expecting the jab probably coming from a different position. All of that is experience, man. And the more that these guys fight like quality opposition, like, you know, Mean Machine, he was in there with Terence Crawford. So this guy is no Crawford that he fought tonight. So the benefit of having fought Crawford puts him in a greater position of fighting these other guys because he knows that he can be fighting at that level. So this is what it's about. And we always clamor for the good fights. I never felt that KAVALIAUSKAS was a bad fighter, but he's the kind of guy you could sleep on and he will make you look bad. But he is limited. He has some things he does very well, but he will have trouble against guys who have good movement, who can get in and out and give him angles and stuff like that. Because when ZEWSKI was doing that to him, as far as giving him angles and moving around, he was having some trouble with that. So, you know, you have to pay attention what you're looking at with it. But it was good to see him get his win and get himself back in position to, you know, challenge again or whatever's going to happen. But that's, you know, it is what it is. What else you got on it, Reggie?
Man, that was it. I want to see where Mean Machine go. I know he this motherfucker talk about fighting Crawford again. He can get him. It's a dude. Hey, but I'll give him that. For him to get his ass whooped and still want to get in there, that's one of them tough bastards who you can beat up, but you really don't want to fight the motherfucker again because this is the type of person can take a beat and keep on wanting to fight you and shit. But he's gained a lot of confidence because he's known as the first guy to drop Crawford, which to me doesn't mean too much of shit. I think it'll be worse going in there, but hell, let this guy get his shots, let him work his way up, but I don't think he deserves to get in position to fighting Crawford again. Crawford needs to go ahead and get one of these unifications, tying up with another champion. And Mean Machine needs to get his name in the hunt with other guys. He needs to go in there. maybe see if he can test and let us gauge where Jaron Ennis really is. I think that's the fight that needs to be made. Jaron Ennis needs to get in with either Ugas, the Mean Machines, these other guys that are out there. And Mean Machine needs to see where he's at against maybe a Ugas or somebody. But for a champion, I don't think he's ready for a champion yet.
Yeah. And, in between rounds, they were mentioning some stuff that's happening in the sport. Like they mentioned, that Canelo has filed, suit against Golden Boy and DAZN and everything. And we kind of talked about that last night on the Chop session. They also mentioned a little bit about Teofimo fighting Vasily Lomachenko, and we talked about that as well. And another thing we talked about was the October card that's coming up for Top Rank Boxing for October, which nice set of fights that they have coming up. But this is the thing that I found very interesting, man. As they were mentioning the October card, Artur Beterbiev has suffered broken ribs, 2 broken ribs in his training, so he will not be on that matchup for October 23rd against Adam Deans. And that's a shame, because I like to see that guy. He's one of those guys that's just one of the most pure punchers of this current day of boxing. He can get guys out of there with either hand, and I was looking forward to him getting back in there. But with his injury now, it doesn't look like he's going to be in there anytime soon. So what do you think about him? They said possible return by December. Man, when it comes down to your ribs, you can't you just have to wait till you heal. And because you get hit in the body yourself, not just that, but the workout that you do, hell, breathing with bad ribs, that cartilage that separates in between the ribs and stuff like that. It's like it hurts, man. So we won't get a chance to see this gentleman anytime soon. And he was one of the ones outside of the Teofimo Lomachenko fight that I wanted to see for next month's cards. What are your thoughts about Beterbiev, Reggie?
Him as a fighter, I like Beterbiev, and I like what he stands for. Being when it came down to how he stood up for his people, his religion. There was a Chinese billionaire or something that ended up winning the bid for that fight, and he wanted to take the fight based on there's a genocide going over there in China against a certain sect of people who practice faith of Islam and stuff. And he was like, F that. He said, y'all can take the belts, y'all can do all this. I ain't fighting over there. Blase blah. He stood his ground, and what it did is it forced the hand of the Chinese group that brought the fight to pull up out of it. And he was supposed to be fighting a cat named Fan Long or something like that. So I think Fan Long may have pulled out. I think he's a Chinese guy as well. So I like everything that this dude stands for. That he stood his ground when it came to representing his religions with his religion and his people, and to even bring awareness to what was going on in that situation in China. But also in that ring, dude's a goddamn monster. He's a nice person outside of it, but he's a dude you don't want to test. You don't want to take his kindness for weakness, because he'll destroy you. And that's what he's been doing to cats in that ring, is destroying them. I like a lot about Beterbiev, not just inside the ring, but what he stands for outside the ring. So I respect that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's all I got, man. Unfortunate with the injury. I think he should take his time. He shouldn't rush back in this year. I heard about rib injuries and how they feel. He should let the body properly heal. He don't want to half-ass it and someone hit him in the body and crack him again, and he's in the middle of a fight. Like, that's going to be all bad.
Absolutely, man. And you're right about the stance and position that he took for what he believes in and everything. I like to see when people stand on their square for what they believe in, especially when there's opposition to it, where it's something harmful, hurtful, or disrespectful to what they bring and what they represent personally. So it's like I respect that he did that. As far as he not being able to fight, just go ahead and take the rest of the year off, as far as I see it, because he needs to get to a place where he's back, and I'll tell you something. He's a tough hombre, man. That dude Gavaskit is no chump, and he broke Gavaskit down, man. He really did. He made Gavaskit not want to go back out, and Teddy kept sending Gavaskit out there talking about, we're firemen and we got to put out the fire and this. Man, Gavaskit wanted to punch Teddy. You could tell, because it was like, he was like, man, I'm trying to tell you, I don't want to go back out there. You're supposed to, help me out here. Teddy kept shoving him back out there. Remind me of that trainer that was shoving the mouthpiece into Andrew Galata's mouth when he was fighting Mike Tyson, and he didn't want to go back out there against Mike Tyson. And the guy was saying, don't you do it, you son of a bitch. He was trying to push Galata's mouthpiece back in his mouth, and Galata was like, no! Like the Hulk. He was like, no! I was laughing at that. But, yeah, man. Gavaskit is a tough customer, and Bitter Beef just beat the crap out of him and took his championship and took his heart from him. So it'll be a shame, that he can't fight again, before the end of the year. So, but I'd rather see him healthy and ready to go back in there than to go in there and something happen like that. So you're absolutely right when it comes down to that. So, but that slate for October looks pretty good, man, with the rest of the fights. I'm sure they'll try to put something else in there. Probably even one of these guys who fought in the bubble already, stick them in there to fight on that date of the 23rd. So it's like, man, But going back to the chat real quick, we had a few more of those comments after that, the belts being on the line. Philip Carl Roberts says, Mean Machine did good. He also took a few shots on the way in the early rounds, imposed himself. I read that. Derek Bailey says, Green Bean was throwing a good uppercut also. Absolutely. And Love Thyself says, so the top guys at 147. Philip Carl Roberts says, he could not impose himself against Crawford despite knocking Crawford down. Crawford got reckless in that fight. And Love Thyself says, the fight could have been easier for Crawford if he changed his stance earlier on. And Philip Carl Roberts says, Mean Machine still wants respect, and for a good reason. No pushover. That's right. Love Thyself says, too stubborn. I guess he's talking about Crawford. Tone Brown says he has to work his way back up the welterweight ladder. And Philip Carl Roberts says, Love Thyself, I agree. Thrill Hill says, had his chance. He can scrap with Lipinets. Yeah, that would be a good fight. The two of those guys, Lipinets, Sergey Lipinets, and Green Beans. Or I call him Green Beans with Mean Machine. And the Odd Fella says, the suit was dismissed. Okay, talking about Canelo. Philip Carl Roberts says, no, Bitter Beef is who I was looking forward to as well. So was I, Philip Carl Roberts. I was really looking forward to seeing him. I love those guys who are crushers, man. Love them. Love Thyself says, suit dismissed, but they can refile once they make some corrections. The Odd Fella says, facts, Love Thyself. And Tone Brown says, Ruben Villa for the upset, mark my words. Okay. And Philip Carl Roberts says, I could not walk when my lowest rib broke. I was folded in two. Then I would get up and try and walk and fold back down again. Certain ribs hurt more than others. Never been that hurt with other ribs. Yeah. The odd fella says he retired ZEWSKI permanently. Yes, he did. And Philip Kyle Roberts says, known as a floating rib. Boy, that's smarts. And Love Thyself says, I think Machine stops Lipinets. Hey, that's a fight I would like to see. What do you think about that fight, Reggie? Lipinets against Mean Machine.
I think that's a good one. I like that too. I want to see all these dudes in the hunt, man. I want to see them all get in there and mix it up.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. It's like if they make the fights that we want to see, it'll be awesome, you know. But we don't always get that. We don't always get what we want. But it'd be a great thing if they did it, man. So, you know, that's the one thing. But even, you know, in light of what happened this week with Gary Russell and the Devin Haney camp and all of that, we just really at the end of the day want to see the good quality fights, man. Everybody tunes in. I mean, we can go on these channels and watch and listen to the fights and this and that, but it's like people just want to see the sport prosper. You know, can we just get the fights we want to see? That's it at the end of the day. So, but yeah, man, this has been a quick and good post-fight show that we got a chance. We had some new faces with us, thanks to the brothers who had recommended our show to these guys. Reggie, you got some final words you'd like to give before we sign off?
Yeah, man, another good show, man. Enjoy doing these post fights, man. Keep this thing rolling. And another good weekend of fights, man. They bringing out these fights, even in controversy, the weak fights. I just like to see boxing, man. But also seeing where, when we see whack shit, calling it out, seeing where they need to fix this game. But enjoying it, man. I'm just enjoying it. Enjoying the content being put out here. Bringing awareness and thought into this game of boxing, man. That's what it's about, man. Appreciate you, OG.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I appreciate you, man, coming together with me to do these post fights. You guys call the fights, and then we come on here and talk about them when they're finished and everything, and keeping the community together so we see the whole events from start to finish and all the way through to we give our take on what we witnessed, and it's a great thing. If anybody out there hasn't had a chance to catch Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens and him calling the fights, check them out. If you haven't had a chance to see some of the content that we have here on the Stormy B-Man channel, feel free to look through the archive and see what's happening. We cover the boxing fights. We cover the weekly talk shows. We got the Tuesday Tussle, which is kind of like a class in session type show. And then we got the videos that Stormy B-Man put out. And then we got Kung Fu. Kung Fu is something that we do just, you know, as a fill-in for when we're not talking about boxing or whatever. So we got a lot going on over here. Appreciate everybody come out. Appreciate the new subscribers. And, you know, that's it for this evening's post-fight show. We'll catch you guys again next week. And hope everybody have a good rest of the weekend, man. We're going to sign off for now. Everybody be safe and have a great weekend and upcoming work week. Peace.